If you look closely, the problem doesn't start when a man has already fallen. It starts much earlier. It starts when he thinks he's strong enough not to stay watchful. Do you really believe you're immune? Or have you just not been tested in the right place yet? Because history proves something uncomfortable. Even the wisest man who ever lived fell in this exact area. Solomon didn't fall because he lacked intelligence. He fell because he lacked vigilance. And that should wake you up. Because if wisdom wasn't enough to protect him, then simply knowing better won't protect you either. The Bible doesn't treat this lightly. It doesn't romanticize it. It warns. And the danger doesn't look like danger. It looks like something good. Proverbs 5:3 says, "For the lips of the adulterous woman drip honey." Do you see it? It doesn't start bitter. It starts sweet. It doesn't start wrong. It feels right. She doesn't come to destroy. She comes to convince. And this is where many men have already lost the battle, without even realizing it, because they confuse attraction with confirmation. They confuse emotion with God's direction. But the verse continues. But in the end, it is bitter as gall, sharp as a double-edged sword. In other words, the beginning deceives, but the end reveals. So the real question is not, how does this feel right now? The real question is, where is this taking me? Let's be more direct. Not every connection is from God. And this is a mistake many men don't want to admit. Some women don't enter your life as a blessing. They enter as a test. And if you lack discernment, you'll call unanswered prayer what is actually pulling you away from God. The Bible speaks clearly about this. 2 Corinthians 6:14 says, "Do not be unequally yoked with unbelievers." But what happens in real life? She's kind. She treats you well. She respects you. And you think, I can bring her to God. But let me challenge you with maturity. A relationship is not a mission field. You can influence someone. You can pray for someone, but you cannot build a covenant with someone who is not walking in the same direction. Because at first, it feels light but over time. It starts to pull. And someone will give in. And most of the time, it's the one who was supposed to lead spiritually. There's another type that many people ignore. Not the obviously wrong woman, but the one who lives in constant conflict. Proverbs 21:9 says, "Better to live on a corner of the roof than share a house with a quarrelsome wife." This is not exaggeration. This is warning, because peace is not a detail in a relationship. It is the foundation. If there is constant chaos, you're not building something. You're surviving something. And a man called to lead cannot build purpose in an environment of emotional war. Now, there's an even more subtle pattern: seduction. And we're not just talking about appearance. We're talking about something that touches your ego, your loneliness, your need to feel chosen. Proverbs 7 paints. It's almost like a scene. She makes everything feel special. She makes you feel selected. But the passage ends by saying, "He followed her like an ox going to the slaughter." That's heavy, because it shows someone walking forward, not realizing he's heading toward his own destruction. And here's something you need to face. Not everything that makes you feel desired is good for you. Not everything that chooses you was sent by God. Now, let's go deeper. Character. Proverbs 11:22 says, "Like a gold ring in a pig's snout is a beautiful woman who shows no discretion." This is not about appearance. It's about priority. Beauty attracts attention, but wisdom sustains a relationship. A woman who cannot receive correction, who doesn't value God's word, who isn't growing spiritually, is not a partner. She is a liability to your destiny. And here's something many ignore. You don't just marry a person, you marry the direction they are going. Now, before you misunderstand this, this is not an attack on women. The Bible honors incredible women. Ruth, Esther. Proverbs 31. God's design is high and beautiful. But because of that, He also warns, because wrong choices in this area don't cost just a moment. They cost years. Sometimes a lifetime. Proverbs 18:22 says, "He who finds a wife finds what is good." Notice the word finds. Not settles, not rushes, not ignores every red flag just because she's attractive. Finds that requires discernment, patience, maturity. Now let's bring balance. If you're already in a difficult relationship, don't make impulsive decisions. First, take a spiritual position. Pray with intention. Seek real direction. Proverbs 11:14 says, "In the multitude of counselors there is safety." Stop trying to handle everything alone. Submit this to God and to mature, wise people. Because, yes, God can restore, but He can also redirect. And you need to be open to both. And if you haven't made that choice yet, then don't rush. Loneliness is not a strong enough reason for a decision that can define your entire life. God doesn't work through anxiety. He works through formation. So instead of chasing someone, learn to walk with God. Because when you see with spiritual clarity, you stop being impressed by appearance and start discerning destiny. And that changes everything. In the end, the question is not, is she beautiful? Does she want me? The real question is this drawing me closer to God or pulling me away? Because a relationship may begin with emotion, but it only lasts with purpose. You are always welcome here. May God continue to bless you with brotherly love, minutes of grace.